Story number 1, The Whispering Walls. Sarah, a young architect with a head full of dreams, finally found it, the perfect fixer-upper. Nestled on a quiet street lined with towering oaks, the Victorian house whispered of a bygone era. Sure, the peeling paint and groaning floorboards hinted at neglect, but for Sarah, it was a blank canvas waiting for her artistic touch. The first few weeks were a whirlwind of demolition and renovation. Sarah, along with a small crew, unearthed hidden architectural gems beneath layers of dust and decay. A beautiful stained glass window depicting a weeping willow came alive with vibrant colors after restoration. However, one unsettling discovery lurked behind a boarded-up fireplace, a small, bricked-up doorway. Curiosity gnawed at Sarah, but the crew advised against disturbing it, citing potential structural instability. The nights in the old house were the most unsettling. The silence was thick, broken only by the occasional creak of the settling structure. One night, Sarah awoke to an unsettling whisper, faint at first, then growing louder. It seemed to emanate from the walls, a voice filled with a deep, mournful sadness. She sat up, heart pounding, straining to understand the words but finding only a chilling melody of despair. The whispers became a nightly occurrence, driving sleep away from Sarah's eyes. She confided in a local historian, a kindly woman named Ms. Hawthorne. The woman's eyes widened upon hearing Sarah's description. "The whispering walls," she murmured, a tremor in her voice. According to Ms. Hawthorne, the house had a dark past. A young woman named Emily, heartbroken by a broken engagement, had taken her own life within its walls over a century ago. Legend spoke of her restless spirit forever echoing within the house, forever whispering her sorrow. Armed with this knowledge, Sarah felt a responsibility towards Emily's spirit. Disregarding the crew's warnings, she convinced them to help break open the bricked-up doorway. Behind it, they discovered a dusty, locked room. Prying open the rusty lock revealed a poignant scene. A single, faded portrait of a beautiful young woman smiled sadly from the wall. Letters scattered on the floor spoke of a love lost, filled with Emily's eloquent despair. Sarah felt a surge of empathy. Here wasn't just a ghost, but a heartbroken soul. She held a small funeral for Emily in the overgrown garden behind the house. Reading the letters aloud, Sarah spoke of the love Emily deserved, the life she could have had. That night, there were no whispers. An eerie stillness replaced the haunting melody. Sarah awoke to a sense of calm, a feeling that Emily had finally found peace. The renovations continued, with Sarah incorporating the portrait of Emily into the design, a tribute to the woman who once walked its halls. The house still held the weight of history, but now, a sense of quiet acceptance lingered within its walls, a testament to Sarah's act of empathy for the whispering ghost. Story number 2, The Collector. John and his wife, Clara, moved to a secluded mountain town seeking a simpler life. Their new home, a quaint log cabin nestled amongst towering pines, offered serenity and spectacular views. But their idyllic life soon took a disturbing turn with the arrival of their new next-door neighbor, Mr. Blackwood. Mr. Blackwood was an enigma. A tall, gaunt man with eyes like chips of obsidian, he lived alone in a ramshackle cabin shrouded in perpetual shadows. He rarely ventured out, his only interaction with John and Clara being a curt nod of acknowledgement. Yet, an unsettling feeling emanated from his abode. It wasn't just the eerie silence that cloaked it, but also the occasional flicker of movement John swore he saw through the dusty windows. One crisp autumn morning, John witnessed something truly unsettling. He was chopping firewood when a piercing shriek tore through the air. Heart pounding, he raced towards the sound, praying it wasn't an animal caught in a trap. He found himself at Mr. Blackwood's cabin, the source of the noise. John hesitated, unsure if intruding was right. But another shriek, more desperate this time, spurred him on. Cautiously, he peered through a cracked window. The sight that greeted him sent a shiver down his spine. Mr. Blackwood stood in the center of the room, his long shadow dancing grotesquely on the wall. In his hand, he held a struggling fox, its fur matted with blood. Mr. Blackwood seemed to be performing some bizarre ritual, chanting words John couldn't decipher. Fear rooted John to the spot. Just as Mr. Blackwood raised a gleaming knife, John stumbled back, sending a twig snapping under his foot. The chanting stopped abruptly. Mr. Blackwood's head snapped towards the window, his eyes glowing with a terrifying intensity. John didn't wait for him to react. He sprinted back to his cabin, slamming the door shut and locking it with trembling hands. He told Clara everything, but she dismissed it as John's overactive imagination. The incident, however, played on John's mind. His curiosity warred with his fear. One quiet night, unable to sleep, John decided to investigate. Armed with a flashlight and a growing sense of dread, he crept towards Mr. Blackwood's cabin. Peering through the same window, John's breath caught in his throat. The room was now illuminated by dozens of flickering candles. Mr. Blackwood wasn't there, but the floor was a macabre tableau. Dried animal carcasses, from crows to rabbits, were arranged in a grotesque pattern. Fear turned to horror when John saw, propped against the wall, the lifeless body of the fox, its fur dyed a sickening crimson. In its open mouth, a single object glinted, a small, intricately carved wooden eye. Terror propelled John back into the night. He knew he had to tell someone, but who would believe him? The story of the crazy mountain man collecting animal parts wasn't exactly headline news. John was left with a chilling realization: Mr. Blackwood wasn't just a recluse, he was a collector. A collector of more than just animal trophies. John knew he had stumbled upon something sinister, a secret that could put him and Clara in danger. He had to act before Mr. Blackwood's collection grew to include something more. Human. Story. Number 3, The Memory Thief. Evelyn, a retired librarian with a passion for forgotten stories, found herself captivated by the quaint seaside town of Driftwood Bay. Its charming cottages, weathered by salty winds, held whispers of a timeless past. One particularly charming structure stood out, a ramshackle bookstore tucked away on a cobbled side street. Its faded sign, proclaiming an old curiosity shop, beckoned with an irresistible allure. Inside, Evelyn found a treasure trove. Dusty shelves groaned under the weight of leather-bound volumes and forgotten manuscripts. The air hummed with a comforting silence, broken only by the rhythmic tick of a grandfather clock in the corner. As she browsed, a figure emerged from the shadows, a woman draped in flowing black robes, her face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. "Welcome," the woman's voice, raspy yet strangely soothing, echoed through the shop. "Can I interest you in anything?" Evelyn, captivated by the woman's aura, explained her love for forgotten stories. The woman, who introduced herself as Miss Crow, smiled, a hint of something melancholic flickering in her eyes. "Then you've come to the right place," she said, leading Evelyn to a back room veiled in shadows. There, in a dimly lit corner, sat a singular, ornately carved wooden chest. It exuded an aura of mystery, a lock fashioned from what appeared to be a gnarled branch securing its secrets. Curiosity burning, Evelyn inquired about the chest. Ms. Crow's reply was cryptic. "It holds memories," she said, her voice a mere whisper. Memories people wish to forget. Evelyn's heart pounded. This was a story begging to be unearthed, a secret yearning to be exposed. Over the next few weeks, Evelyn became a regular visitor, drawn not just by the shop's unique offerings but also by Miss Crow. They'd discuss forgotten lore and the power of memory, its bittersweet nature, a dance between holding on to the past and letting go. One stormy night, enveloped in the rhythmic drumming of rain against the roof, Evelyn found herself drawn to the chest again. Miss Crow stood beside her, a haunting sadness in her eyes. "Memories are burdens sometimes," Miss Crow said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Would you like to see?" Hesitantly, Evelyn reached out and touched the lock. A jolt of cold energy surged through her arm, transporting her into a swirl of vivid images. They belonged to Miss Crow, a life filled with love, laughter, and then, a devastating loss. Grief, raw and consuming, threatened to engulf Evelyn. When the vision subsided, Evelyn emerged shaken. Miss Crow looked older, her vibrancy dimmed. "The cost of remembering," she rasped, a single tear tracing a path down her wrinkled cheek. Evelyn understood. Memories were powerful things, capable of both joy and sorrow. She looked at the chest, a newfound respect for its contents replacing her initial curiosity. Some memories were best left buried. From that day on, Evelyn's visits to the old curiosity shop became less frequent. She continued to cherish stories but understood the importance of letting go of some memories, a newfound empathy for Ms. Crow's burden. Sometimes, forgetting wasn't a failing, but a necessary act of self-preservation. The memory thief, as Evelyn realized Ms. Crow truly was, offered a unique service, not one of erasure, but of safekeeping, a sanctuary for unwanted memories. As the sea breeze whispered through the town, a sense of peace settled over Evelyn. The stories of Driftwood Bay were rich and complex, holding both joy and sorrow, reminding her that life, like its residents' memories, was a tapestry woven with threads of light and dark.